Okay, let's have some real fun here. And this problem is going to be more fun than those video games that you play, or maybe some of those sports teams that you watch on TV. I mean, we get to do math here. And not only that, this is going to be even more exciting because we're not going to use our calculator. Now, a lot of you might be saying to yourself, hey, Mr. YouTube Math Man, I do not do math without the aid of a calculator. Well, listen, what happens if you lose your calculator, right? Or if you don't have your cell phone, or if you don't have access to the internet or your computer? I mean, we're all spoiled, including myself, with technology. You can literally just go on your computer and find the answer to just pretty much about everything. But you have to be able to retain your old school basic math skills, right? And we can do this problem without the aid of a computer or calculator, but we need that one computer between our ears. That's what we need. And anytime we're doing math, you want to be extra careful. So some of you might be saying, "Oh boy, this is going to be extra hard because I don't, get to use my calculator." Well, others of you might be saying, "Oh, I could do this super easy. One, two, three. Here, blah 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 blah. Here is the answer." Well, oftentimes when you take a math problem on and you go super fast because you're almost overly confident, 9 times out of 10, or at least 50-50, I'm telling you right now, you will make an error. And then when you see the right answer, you'll say, oh, I knew that, I knew that, I knew that, I was going too fast. So, how do you do any math problem? Well, you treat it with respect and you do it step by step by step by step. So, if you think you can do this problem, go ahead and pause the video, put your answer into the comment section. I'm actually going to show you the solution to this problem, and then we're going to talk about two different approaches you can take to get the final answer. But before we get going, let me quickly introduce myself. My name is John. I'm the founder of TC Math Academy. I'm also a middle and high school math teacher. I've been teaching math for decades, and I'm telling you right now, all of you can be successful in mathematics. Now, some of you are going to be math superstars, but those of you out there that are like struggling with math, and you might be thinking to yourself, oh no, I'll never be able to pass math or algebra. I barely pass. I've failed math before. I'm speaking to you, okay? You can be successful in mathematics. What you need is a lot of encouragement and, more importantly, great math instruction, clear, understandable, and comprehensive. So if you need help in your current math course, or maybe you're studying for some sort of special test, something like a teacher certification exam, ASVAB, SAT, ACT, GED, anything with the math section on it, or maybe you're homeschooling math, check out my math help program. I'm going to leave a link to it in the description of this video. I promise it will help you out. I literally have over 100 plus different math courses that cover all these categories and much, much more. I'm also going to leave links to my math notes in the description of this video. Now, if you truly want to be a math superstar, you need to learn how to take awesome math notes. A lot of people don't take good math notes. I didn't way back in the good old days. So improve your notes and everything will start getting much, much better. And if this video helps you out, don't forget to like and subscribe, as that definitely helps me out. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at this problem and, of course, the solution to it. So here we have 1 over 3 minus 9 plus 2 over 5 minus 15. It's going to be equal to negative 11 over 30. All right, so how did you do? Well, if you got this right, I must give you a nice, lovely, happy face and A plus 100% and a few stars so you can have an extra special day. Nice job. So let's take a look at the answer here. So we can see here we are dealing with fractions, all right? So that's one thing we're going to have to kind of review, fractions. And then we have some positive and negative number stuff going on as well, because this is a negative number. So these are the skills that we're going to have to know. Let me give you a couple suggestions. If you already think you're lost, okay, one, I would encourage you just, finish the video, see how I do these problems. But if you need a lot of review with fractions and positive and negative numbers, I'd probably suggest that you check out my pre-algebra course in my math help program, or maybe my math foundations course, which is a nice little 3-chapter mini course for basic mathematics. So stuff that you learned in elementary school in positive, negative numbers, percent. And it's really kind of like elementary school and middle school mathematics. So that's my math foundations course, or maybe my pre-algebra course, because these are the skills that we're going to need to know to figure this problem out. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into it right now. All right, so here, notice that we are dealing with two fractions. So we have 1 over, okay, this is the numerator. The denominator is 3 minus 9 plus this other fraction, 2 over its denominator is 5 minus 15. So remember, in the order of operations, this right here, PEMDAS, okay? Here we have addition, we have division going on, and well, we have addition, subtraction, and division. So we have to always refer back to that order of operations, PEMDAS, right? So here is mathematical, well, these are the mathematical operations that we're most familiar with: addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. You also have powers and the powers, which is our little e in our PEMDAS. So the first thing is here, this P stands for parentheses, okay? So let's just review PEMDAS real fast. This P means you do parentheses first, or what's inside parentheses first. So in this case, we're going to have to figure out what's inside these two parentheses first. E stands for exponents or powers, and then M and D stand for multiplication, division. A and S stand for addition and subtraction, and we always do this thing from left to right. And the M and D, you do whatever you see first from left to right. This part right here really confuses a lot of people. Again, I'm trying to cover a lot of topics in this one video quickly. I'm not going to really be able to do justice to the order of operations. So if you don't really understand, okay, probably a lot of you need to review this. Check out those courses that I referred to previously. I just mentioned, right, my Math Foundations course or Pre-Algebra. Okay, so now let's go ahead and tackle what's inside parentheses first. So let's tackle this parenthesis, 3 minus 9. So what is 3 minus 9 equal to? So 3 minus 9 is the same thing as 3 plus negative 9. That, of course, is negative 6. All right, so 3 plus negative 9 is negative 6. If you didn't know that, or you don't know why that is, you need to review the rules for positive and negative numbers. So let's go ahead and do this now, this parenthesis. So 5 minus 15, it's the same thing as 5 plus negative 15. Of course, that's going to be 5 plus a negative 15, which of course is a negative 10. Okay, negative 10. So now we have 1 over, this denominator here is negative 6. So that's what this fraction is. And this is a 2 over negative 10. 2 over negative 10. So that's where we're at right now. So this problem comes down to a simple fraction problem. Now, anytime you are doing any fraction problems, whether it's multiplication, division, addition, subtraction, doesn't make a difference. The fractions involved, okay, always see if you can reduce them or simplify them, all right? Now, we notice this fraction is fully reduced, right? There's nothing more we could do to make this look simpler, but this fraction, before we do anything, this can be reduced, right? So let's go ahead and reduce this. So we don't want to start adding this up until we make all these fractions as simple as we possibly can. All right, so 2 over negative 10 is equivalent to the fraction 1 over negative 5. Okay, again, if you have questions on how to reduce fractions, check out those respective courses, or I have a ton of YouTube videos on all this stuff as well. All right, so 1 over negative 6 plus 1 over negative 5, this is what we have to deal with now. All right, so let's go ahead and add these fractions. So what is going to be the sum of these two fractions? Well, we're kind of stuck. We got a little bit of a roadblock because the denominators, excuse me, my voice crackled there a bit. The denominators are not the same, okay? So because the denominators are not the same, we cannot add these fractions up, at least the way they are right now. So we're going to have to fix this up, and we're going to have to be thinking about what, right? What's in our brains here, right? If you're kind of like, stumped, you're like, I don't know, but you're kind of thinking in your brain, I think I have to do that LCD stuff. Well, you are on the right track. Okay, so what we have to do here is find the LCD, but before we find the LCD, let's just review. What we want to do is get these denominators the same. So if I had, for example, this basic fraction problem, 2/7 plus 1/7, these are the same denominator, okay? So 7 and 7, so if you're adding or subtracting two fractions that have the same denominator, we keep that denominator and we add the respective numerator. So in this case, that's 2 plus 1. So 2/7 plus 1/7 is equal to 2 plus 1, of course, is 3. 3/7, right? So this is easy because the denominators are the same. This situation needs to be fixed up. We don't have the same denominator. So again, we need to fix this up. So here is basically the problem we're trying to figure out, 1 over negative 6 plus 1 over negative 5. And as I indicated in the beginning, the little intro to this video, I'm going to show you two approaches you can take to find the answer to adding up these fractions, okay? One approach is going to be using the LCD, okay, figuring out what the lowest common denominator is. And the other technique is a nice little hack. I call it the bow tie hack. So we'll look at both ways and of course we'll get the same answer. So let's go ahead and take a look at the LCD method. All right, so we need to get the lowest common denominator. What is that? Well, let's go ahead and first talk about how we find the lowest common denominator. Let's just forget the negative signs right now. Okay, we'll add that negative signs back in. But what if I gave you the fractions 1/3 plus 1/5, and I said, hey, what's the LCD? Most of you would say, oh, it's 15 there, Mr. YouTube Math Man. I know what the answer is. Well, you would be correct, okay? And let's just kind of define LCD in a couple different ways, or think of it in a couple different ways. It's basically the lowest number that both of these denominators can divide into evenly. Okay, that's kind of one conceptual way to do that. But if I asked you, how did you find this answer? All right, most of you might be, kind of like stumped. You're like, hey, I'm not quite sure. I just kind of knew it. Well, what if I gave you this 508 and 36? What if I gave you these two as the denominators? What would the LCD be? A lot of you would be upset and you would probably leave this video like, well, I'm not doing this. Just give me the nice, easy math problems. Well, listen, we need to understand the LCD and how to find it. So let's talk about how to calculate the LCD. All right, so here, again, let's just forget the negative numbers right now. We'll add those in. Let's just concentrate on the 6 and the 5. All right, the LCD, the lowest common denominator, is effectively the product of all the prime factors in the numbers of the denominators, okay? So this number here, we can have multiple fractions that go down the line. So any numbers that are in the denominators, okay, those numbers, we need to look at the prime factors of those numbers. So 6 is not a prime number, okay? Remember, a number like 5 is a prime number because 5 is equal to 1 times 5. There's no other number other than 1 that we can get back to 5. But 6 is not a prime number. We can break this up as 2 times 3, and 2 and 3 are prime numbers. So the prime factors of 6 are 2 and 3. And the prime factors of 5 is 1. Prime factors of 5 is 5. 1 is always a prime factor of all numbers. So we don't really have to write that in here, okay? So the lowest common denominator is going to be the product of each respective unique prime factor. So we have to take a 2, we have to take a 3, and we have to take a 5. So 2 times 3 times 5 is 30. Okay, so 30 is the lowest number that both 6 and 5 go into. So some of you were probably maybe looking at 6 and 5, and maybe you knew the answer was 30, but this is how you get to the LCD. And if you had much more demanding or challenging denominators, believe me, you're going to want to know how to do this, right? And so it does take time to figure out the LCD, especially when you're dealing with larger numbers. And this is the way we figure out the LCD when we have algebraic expressions, okay? So you got to know this stuff. All right, so the LCD is 30. So what does that mean? Well, what that means is that we need to rewrite these fractions. Here we have 1 over negative 6 plus 1 over, I kind of rushed real quick here. The LCD is 30 when the denominator is 6 and 5, but we do have these negative signs, so really the LCD is negative 30. So if a lot of you are saying, hey, you're making a mistake, well, see, look, I fixed it because I stopped myself. I say, hey, let me clarify this, right? All right, so now we'll add in that negative 30, and there you go. Okay, so now what we need to do is to make these fractions, okay, rewrite them such that the denominators, the respective denominators, have the LCD negative 30. Okay, so what are we going to do here? Well, we're going to have to, again, adjust these fractions such that they contain the LCD. So let's go to do that now. Okay, so how do I get a negative 6 to turn into a negative 30? Let's take this fraction here. Easy, just multiply a negative 6 by a 5, and I will get a negative 30. But if I multiply the denominator by 5, I'm going to multiply the numerator by 5. That's the rule, so 5 times 1 is 5. So this is my new and improved fraction with the LCD being negative 30. So here, my negative 5, how do I get that into a negative 30, turn that into a negative 30? Easy, just multiply it by a positive 6. So I got to multiply that numerator by positive 6, and here you go. Here is our new and improved fraction for this fraction, negative 1 over negative 5. So here, finally, we can add these fractions because we have two fractions. We're trying to add them up. They have the same denominator. So let's go ahead and take care of what we got to take care of right now. So adding up fractions, same denominator, easy. We just add the respective numerators. So 5 plus 6 over negative 30 gives us 11 over negative 30. This is the answer. Now, keep this in mind. I'm going to show you another way, and then I'm going to talk about a subtle little technical thing that seems to trouble a lot of students. But here is the answer, 11 over negative 30. Just hold one thought, because some of you might be wondering about the answer I initially gave you in the beginning of this video. Okay, I'll address all of this in just 1 second, but let's talk about the second way to add these two fractions. Okay, so here we have 1 over negative 6 plus 1 over negative 5. Now, I love this method. It's probably one of my favorite things that I use in mathematics. It's called the bow tie hack. It has to do with adding and subtracting numeric fractions or rational expressions, things that contain variables. You want to know this. It's so awesome. Okay, so this is a great method for those of you who just don't want to put your brain in gear. So let's say you're like, you know what, I'm not up to dealing with the LCD today. I want to figure out the answer, and I don't want to deal with the LCD. So not a problem, okay? You want to use the bow tie hack method. So let me go and show you this right now, okay? So this is a very specific pattern, okay? I'm going to show you the pattern. You can kind of see I already did the work here in advance. Let me kind of highlight the steps right now. Okay, so we're going to start with this denominator down here in the bottom right. Okay, always start there. Now you're going to multiply that number times this number here. Okay, so you can see that's highlighted in yellow. So negative 5 times 1 is what? Negative 5. Okay, now this is an addition problem, so you're going to put a little addition sign here, but what we're doing is forming the numerator. Now, the second step is you're going to come to the bottom left, okay, negative 6 in this case, and you're going to multiply up to this numerator. So negative 6 times 1 is negative 6. And then our last step is going to be negative 6 times 5. You're going to go across, okay, and that is, of course, going to be a positive 30. So negative 5 plus negative 5 plus negative 6 is negative 11 over a positive 30. There is the answer. So let me just make sure you understand these steps here, and then we're going to talk about that thing I mentioned here in a moment. Okay, so again, it's this times this, okay, plus, okay, this is an addition problem, this times this, okay, this is the pattern, over the denominators, negative 6 times negative 5, which in this case is a positive 30. This is the bow tie method. I'm quickly going over it. Hopefully you understand it basically by, it's not any more complex than this, but you want to know how to do this. This is for problems for adding and subtracting fractions. You'll always get the right answer. The only thing with the bow tie method is sometimes the denominator you get is not the lowest common denominator. Sometimes that is the case. All you have to do is simply reduce your final answer. Okay, so let's take a look at this answer right here. I have a negative 11 over 30, negative 11 over 30, and the previous answer I got was a positive 11 over negative 30, right? So positive 11 over negative 30, and this one is negative 11 over positive 30. So you might be saying to yourself, hey, Mr. YouTube Math Man, these problems, your answers are different. No, they are not. They are not different. A lot of students confuse this. Let's just review this real quick, okay? The rules for positive and negative numbers. A positive divided by a negative is what? Negative. A negative divided by a positive is what? Negative, okay? So it's the same thing. Sometimes students kind of get hung up where the negative sign is. So technically what you should do, okay, is just make the whole value of the fraction negative. This is the best way to write it. Put a negative and then put your fraction like this. But if you were in my math class and you gave me this answer, 11 over negative 30, I would assume that you meant this value because this is what this is equivalent to. And negative 11 over a positive 30 is this as well. These are all equivalent, right? So whether you write it this way or this way, it's both the same thing. It's a negative value, all right? So you want to really kind of turn in your final answers by putting a little negative sign out like this. Your teacher would appreciate that, but most importantly, I don't want you to be confused and get into some sort of argument with your teacher saying, hey, look, there's the answer. You told me the answer was this. No, no, no. The answer is this. We know we are both right. Okay. All right. So hopefully you got something out of this video. And, really what I want you to get out of, all my videos is that you want to be careful. Okay. Anytime you're doing mathematics, you want to do things step by step and you want to have those kind of tools in your toolbox, right? We call those math skills to solve problems. There's all sorts of different ways you can approach a math problem, but you want to be able to have multiple different skills, right? You're going to need these things. So if you want to learn more about fractions, arithmetic, basic mathematics, check out, again, the two courses I would recommend for this level of mathematics in my Math Help program would be my Math Foundations course and my Pre-Algebra course. Again, I have a ton of different YouTube videos as well on fractions and basic mathematics and the like. But with that being said, I definitely wish you all the best in your mathematics adventures. Thank you for your time and have a great day.